I joined the Marine Corps. And I was in a relationship at the time. And one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps was for him, because he went to the Marine Corps. So I ended up being in the Marine Corps, after boot camp. It was after boot camp. I was in MOS school. He turns around and he's just like, I have no time for you in my life anymore. And I was like devastated. I'm like, I just joined the Marine Corps. I just went through boot camp. I just did all this, and you don't want me anymore. What? So that was kind of a stepping stone for me. It was a stepping stone to learn who I really was.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Truth That Heals podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today we have a special guest who's coming all the way from St. Pete's. Our guest today is an alchemist, but also is a licensed mental health therapist. Today we have special guest Colleen Gigante. Colleen, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm doing well, thank you.
Now, I introduced you as an alchemist and as a licensed mental health therapist. Can you start off by explaining what is an alchemist, what is your role as a licensed mental health therapist, and how you put these two together?
Um, sure. So alchemy, anybody has the ability to alchemize. And the reason why is because everything that we go through, we all go through traumas, and I never want to take anything away from anyone who's ever been through a trauma, because it doesn't matter what someone else is going through at that moment. Whatever you're going through is the most traumatic thing in the world. So, when people go, oh, but it could be worse, or, oh, you could be, no, that doesn't matter. It matters your feelings, and your feelings should always be validated. So, with going through the trauma, though, it's up to you and how you perceive it. It's up to you and how you decide to manage it. For instance, here's an analogy, I guess you could say. You could see two people who are very similar, and they both get stung by a bee, and one person cries and has a hard time because it hurts so bad they can't take the pain, and the other person goes and puts, like, you know lidocaine on, or yeah, lidocaine on it, or like some kind of cortisol or something, and ice, and they're perfectly fine. um, and the reason I'm using that analogy is because we're not made the same. We're not made the same. And our resilience plays a very huge part in who we become. So the suffering, the trials, the tribulations that we go through in life, what ends up happening is we can either take them and use them as propelling us to go forward, or we could take them and use them as keeping us to be down. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people like us when we're the most shattered and broken, because they get to control the narrative that way. They get to have all the power, they get to feel better about themselves. And so when this happens, because it always does, when this happens, you can turn that darkness into light. And the way to do that is just understanding that everything is happening for a reason. Everything's happening for a reason. It's like I tell my clients, try not to look at it as a good or bad thing, or a good or bad person, or a good or bad experience. Look at it as a lesson, because it's there to teach you something more about yourself. So if somebody rejects you, that means you need to love yourself more. And if somebody cheats on you, that means you need to learn boundaries. Like, there's always a higher perspective in what we go through.
Excuse me. And you mentioned just a moment ago about there are some people who actually want you to be shattered and broken, and those are the ones who control the narrative. And it really makes me think about narcissists and toxic relationships. And
Yeah.
this happens all over the world, and many times people don't get the awareness, or they don't learn the tools to break free from these kind of relationships or these toxic environments. Uh, so I just wanted to go back a little bit because I see that you're doing you're doing what you can to help others. But my question for you now is, what sparked this interest to even go in this direction? Did you have any personal experience, or did you see something that perhaps uh, drew you in this direction?
Yeah, yeah, you could say so. You could say so. From the time I was born, my life's been just pain, abuse, struggle, trauma. It's been one thing after another after another. I was born with colic. So, my mom told me a story like, Colleen, you would not stop crying, to a point where I just wanted to put a pillow over your head while I was rocking you one night because you just would not stop crying. The pain, was always inside of me. And it's been like that now through every single relationship I've been in, to be honest with you. And it's actually funny. People are like, how are you that same person if you've been through all of this? Like what keeps your heart so genuine and pure? And honestly, it's again because I just believe. I really do. I believe everything happens for a reason. And I believe that everyone should be good to everyone. So, um, going back to your question, um, I was the black sheep of the family. Still am, really. Like my entire family has pretty much disowned me at this point in time completely. Um, and and again, there's reasons for it. There's reasons for it, and I understand that. However, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't stop the pain. It doesn't hurt any less. When it's a holiday and then all of a sudden you get a message from your family saying, hey, don't come over, or you don't even get an invite to even go in the first place. So it doesn't hurt any less. But when I was 17, I left home. I joined the Marine Corps. And I was in a relationship at the time. And one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps was for him, because he went to the Marine Corps. So I ended up being in the Marine Corps, after boot camp. It was after boot camp. I was in MOS school. He turns around and he's just like, I have no time for you in my life anymore. And I was like devastated. I'm like, I just joined the Marine Corps. I just went through boot camp. I just did all this, and you don't want me anymore. What? So that was kind of a stepping stone for me. It was a stepping stone to learn who I really was, and then and it's interesting because my multiple relationships that I've had, and what you call a serial monogamist, I guess. I really don't believe in just dating. I think that intimacy and emotional availability, vulnerability is sacred and very spiritual. So within these serial monogamous relationships, my ex-husband, I mean, he was so abusive. It was such an abusive relationship. I almost died 3 times in that relationship. Um, and I kept going back. I kept going back over and over again. I ended up divorcing him. He ended up going to prison for murdering his second wife, or allegedly murdering his second wife. So there was that. And then from there, I was in a car accident. And this is interesting. I was in a car accident, and I could not walk for 2 years. Now, the car accident got me away from my ex-husband. So It's interesting. It's almost like God was saying, okay, Colleen, I've given you the signs. You're not listening. So now we're going to make it so you can't go back. So he was protecting me. He was protecting me the whole time. But I didn't listen. Like most of us, we have our own minds and we're very stubborn and we want what we want. And a lot of times when we're not on that same path that God wants for us, or whoever your higher source is, a lot of times when we're not on that same path, bad things happen. Bad things happen. And it's not because you're a bad person at all. It's because God's trying to redirect you to go the way that you're supposed to go for his purpose. It's not about our purpose. It's about his purpose. So, and then there were multiple other relationships that, again, were just very toxic and very narcissistic. I have another ex-husband who after 2 years of being together, I found out he was an alcoholic and a sex addict. So when I tell you the traumas things that I've been through, it's unbelievable. It's like I've lived 1,000 lifetimes, I swear. I really do swear. I've lived 1,000 lifetimes. I've actually asked God about this and I've said, why is it that all this has happened? And this is what brought me to the alchemy. This is actually what brought me to the alchemy, is the fact that I had to transform my life. I had to transform who I was so many times in my life. I mean, my heart's been broken so many times that I've just picked up all the pieces and just keep putting them back together and keep going. So, 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney failure. Again, it was like, what's going on? What is going on in my life? But that got me into a very plant-based nutritional diet, and actually made me healthier. Like, the doctors are amazed. They're like, how is it that you can do this? When you have kidney failure, you get worse, you don't get better. But this nutrition has been amazing for me, and amazing for everybody else who's taking it, actually. But again, I just look at things and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is why that happened 5 years ago, or this is why that happened, a week ago, or this is why I had to learn this when I was a child. Because now it all makes sense, because now, as I'm living my life, I'm putting all the pieces together. And it's quite interesting, actually, when you see it from a higher perspective and you're actually looking at everything. You know, I needed to do a lot of internal work. I needed to learn how to love myself, for me, without validation. I needed to learn boundaries, because I was always giving and giving and giving. And I'm still very much a giver, if you ask anybody who knows me. But I'm also very, very, very intentional about where my energy goes, as far as who I even talk with, share my time with, okay, share my time with, let's say that. And then, what experiences I allow to be around me.
So, one thing that you mentioned is, well, you mentioned a few things about your life and the struggles, and also the growth that you found later on after breaking free from some relationships. But something I wanted to hit on was the vulnerability that you had. Well, first leaving your family, and then this guy just totally disses you. You've already joined the Marine Corps, and then he just throws away that relationship. But you've also have, experience giving your heart to people and being vulnerable, and then picking up the pieces, as you mentioned, picking them up. There are some times in life where a person may think or feel, I can't pick up the pieces anymore. I'm just going to be broken, or I'm just going to be how I am, unlovable. And that's what life is. That's how life is going to be. But in your mindset, you've already shown that each time you had those heartbreaks, you picked up the pieces. what was it or what is it about you that has given you this ability? And please share with us because I would like to learn that also.
Um, I don't know. Uh, God, God. My mom, when I was little, she tells a story. When I was little, she would walk into a room and I would be talking. And I'd be looking at one shoulder and then looking at the other shoulder, and I'd be like, just talking. And my mom's like, Colleen, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm talking to my angels. I have my good angel on on this shoulder and my bad angel on this shoulder. And I'm trying to figure out which one to listen to. And that's a true story. And she tells it all the time. And, and I always thought it was really just cute. But honestly, I think I've just talked to angels all my life. And I'm protected. I'm protected, which I'm grateful for. But I've also never, ever, ever once in my life, and I'm not saying to put this me in a higher power position or whatever. I'm being very genuine and honest and transparent. I've never once in my life ever wanted ill will or harm or revenge on anyone. And so, with that, just that that pure heart and the faith that I have, I I just I just became this way. Like when I was little, and I actually remember this myself. I would sit in the middle of the street. I was little, okay, so don't make fun of me. But I would sit in the middle of the street, and I would actually let have like make a little thing where ants could just walk through because I was like, I didn't want them to get hit by a car, And I know that sounds funny, and it is actually, but it just, and I never really thought about it until I got older, recently, in fact. And it's just like, I've always been this way. I've always been this way. People ask me, well, what made you become a licensed mental health therapist? You know, and I'm like, I didn't choose that profession. That profession chose me. Like people say I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, no, I'm just me. I'm just me, and this is what I do for a living. This is what I do professionally. But healing people's hearts is my passion. That's my passion. Because if I can help somebody look at their life and look at what they've been through and understand that it was supposed to be that way, understand that it was meant to happen that way because maybe you were supposed to be in that place to help somebody else at that moment, or maybe you were supposed to be the one that had to learn a lesson so that you could become a higher version of yourself. I want to help them. I want to help them. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, Colleen, if you won the lottery, because I played the lottery, they're like, if you won the lottery, what would you be doing next week? And I'm like, I'd be with my clients. They're like, what? You won the lottery? You're still going to be working? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because this is what God wants me to do. This is my purpose in life. And I fully, wholeheartedly believe that.
So thank you for sharing about this finding purpose in your life and your passion for helping other people. And with your story with the ants, I was just thinking how I mean it's not funny, it's a genuine story. I mean it's nothing to make fun of. And I'm not sure how old you were when this happened, but it sounds like you really had
Four,
a
five.
a child, but you really had a heart that wanted to not help people, but you wanted to help these little creatures. And then as you've gotten older, we see that your passion is for helping people. But when it came to your relationships, did you feel, because I mean, not this is the truth for many people. Not all relationships are going to be perfect. There are a lot of relationships which are toxic and are difficult to get out of. But
Yes.
did you feel that there was a part of you that wanted to stay to help these
All the time,
persons? And
all the
how
time.
were you able to balance that and also with, setting boundaries, and how did that work for you? Like, can you walk us through that?
Um, well, God pretty much made the choice for me. I mean, he did. He did. You know, my boyfriend from the time I was 14 at the time I was 18 that I got married to, he was the one in the Marine Corps. And he pretty much showed me who he was. So I had no choice but to go. Um, and then, my daughter's father, who went to prison. Well, that was pretty clear after getting into the car accident and everything else. And I'm going to tell you, like, I lost 2 years of my life. I couldn't pick her up. I've had 43 nerve blocks. And I used to have to go get shots in both sides of my cheeks because my mouth would only open up that much. Like one time I sneezed and I literally they had to call the ambulance to come get me because my whole body just froze completely up from the muscle spasms. So when I tell you it was devastating. I mean, devastating to me that this happened. I look back on it as the biggest blessing of my life. And, again, God did that. My daughter was only 2 months old when that happened. So God did that. Finding out about my ex-husband and what happened with him. And by the way, I've been married a few times. Um, again, that love and heart catch you a lot. Um, and people just want that energy too. It's funny. It's actually interesting. It's a connection people have. And narcissists actually want that as well. Like they look for that light in people because they can't be it and they don't know how. So it's almost like they observe and they want to become it. But then when they figure out that they can't be that, like they're not the same person because they haven't been through the same things. Um, they then try to dim that light in others. That's what a true narcissist is. Um, but I mean, me finding out about him and the alcohol and the women and all that stuff, again, God gave me that gift. He gave me that gift because he wanted to protect me. He wanted me to find my own direction. He wanted me to find my own power. It's just like my ex, I was with for almost 3 years, who was, I thought the love of my life. He, again, he's another one. Like all of a sudden things started not working out. I started having panic attacks. I started having all these things. And I knew it was God telling me something. I knew it. I knew it. But I didn't listen. I didn't listen. And because I didn't listen, I went through this horrible time of insecurity, not knowing, like, not even having like value. Oh, let me change that. It wasn't not valuing myself. I always value myself. It was I had a type of love that I never had before in my life. And I was so afraid of losing it that I basically sabotaged that relationship. And it was funny because when I was finally starting to get better, it was already like, you know, we were different. We were both different people. We were both different in the relationship. But if you listen, if you really, really listen, to your heart, to your body. Okay, it's a mind body spirit connection. So if you really really listen to your heart, to your body, to your mind, it will tell you the right thing to do. It really will. And that's what intuition is all about. Is it's our angels talking to us.
So now, with all that you've been through and all that you've learned, listening to God or a higher power, listening to your body. How did you make that jump to help other people and to be an alchemist and licensed mental health therapist?
So, after the car accident happened, um, obviously I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I was grateful. I went back and lived with my parents, which actually got me away from my ex also, um, because I couldn't take care of my daughter by myself. So, as I was getting better, okay, I was going to rehab three days out of the week for 2 years. As I was getting better, I needed a job that I would be able to not go in if I couldn't go in because I was still in pain. I was learning to manage the pain. Again, alchemy. I was learning to manage the pain. Um, and so my dad was a school teacher at that time. And he's like, Colleen, you have a bachelor's degree. Why don't you become a substitute teacher? That way you can do it if you want to do it, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. Because they call you, or they did a long time ago. They call you and they'll be like, hey, we have an opening for today. Do you want to come in? And if I weren't feeling well, I would be able to say no and not feel guilty about it or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I started substitute teaching. And I found a love in it. It was something I really, really enjoyed. And then I went and I got my certified teaching's license, and I was a high school teacher here in Tampa for 10 years, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was fulfilling. It was very gratifying. It was very fulfilling, and I'm a history buff. So, I was teaching history and social sciences and things like that. And it was funny because they used to always put the kids who were neurodivergent in my room. And the reason they would do that is because I would let them walk around. I would even if a child came in and they were like, I'm so tired, I had to stay up with my baby brother last night because my mom was working and he had an ear infection. I would be like, okay, I'll tell you what, why don't you go over there, put your head down on your desk, just lay there, okay, try to get some sleep. And if we go over something that's very important that I can't just give you in the notes, I will let you know. Because what people don't understand, and I never understood this myself, to be honest with you, why they don't understand this. People are people.
Mhm.
I don't care if you're a child, you're a little person. That little person has a voice, that little person has a mind. That little person goes through struggles and obstacles. Like they have such a hard life. They have such a hard life. And I think it's one of the reasons is because when I was younger, I didn't have anyone there for me. I had no one there for me that understood me. I had no one who, well, I take that back. My grandmother, my mom, who lived with us since I was 18. But I'm talking like school wise, friend wise, all that stuff. Like I never had anyone around. And teachers were like, well, if you can't get this done, then that's not my problem. And I never wanted to be that person because my feeling is this: if you're doing something to try to help somebody learn something, you're never going to fail somebody. You're never going to put them in a position to make them feel less or worse about themselves. Because when you do that, you're not helping anyone. And who's going to want to be there and listen to somebody who treats another person that way? It's just not going to happen. So when these kids would come into my room and they would be able to basically function the way they need to function, then they would excel. They would excel. And the school psychologist would always say, hey, Colleen, I've got another kid. I'm not really sure what to do with them. Can we put them in your room? And I would say yes. I would say yes, because I'm there to help the kids. That's the whole purpose of being a teacher, is there to help the kids, not there to get a paycheck, not there to, make the school happy or get them awards. It's to help the children learn. And it was actually from that point is where the next step took place, because it was because of them that I went and got my master's degree
Okay.
and
Eh,
became a counselor.
And do you miss teaching to this day?
Yes.
Do you think you will ever go back to it?
I don't know. I would love to in some capacity. I really would. It's funny. I still have my kids. They still keep in contact with me. The kids I taught in high school back in 2004, 2005, they're still like friends with me or whatever. Well, they weren't friends before, but now that they're older, they have their own families and everything else, like I keep up with them. I even check in with them. I even check in with some of my kids from back then just to say, hey, saw your post. Are you doing okay? Is everything okay? Um, I had somebody in fact, it was just the other day, I had one of my old students reach out to me, and it was on Messenger. And he said, Miss Gigante, you probably don't remember me, but I was always seen as the weird kid who did TV production, and you gave me the space to be myself. And you don't know how much that means to me. And he's like, I remember the last thing that you said to me. I remember the last thing that you said to me as I was graduating that year. Um, and it was, understand that people are good people in their hearts.
And how does that make you feel when kids, students from back in the day
Oh,
are going out of their way and sending you a message and leaving you comments like this? How does it feel?
I'm so grateful. I'm honestly so grateful and blessed for everything I have. I have so much gratitude. And I've been homeless twice in 1 year. I I almost died 4 times last year from going into septic shock, from the kidney failure, from having UTIs. Like, there are so many. I mean, I almost died like 8 times already in my life, from the car accident, my ex, and the kidney failure. Like, it's been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy, and I've lost everything. I have nothing that I'm attached to right now, like physically in my life. Like, I lost my home. I had to give away my dogs. I mean, I lost everything. And I am the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And a question I have for you now is you've seen the negativity of people. Some people suck. Some people are straight out evil, you can even say. But still, you have a heart that wants to help, that wants to give, that wants to heal. So my question for you is, despite all that you've seen and all that you've experienced, why or how is it that you're able to have this mindset and care for others when your heart has been broken so many times?
I alchemize my trauma into transformation.
How do you do that? How can you walk us through that process?
Well, I think the first thing, and this is what I tell people, and it's funny because somebody reached out to me the other night and they were like, my girlfriend's been cheating on me. I just found out for like the last 4 months. And I'm like, consider it a gift. Consider it a gift, because you're being protected. You're seeing this now so that you don't get hurt worse later on. So the way I look at things is very, very different than most people. And I tell everyone this as a therapist too. I'm like, I'm not a normal therapist, just to let and they're like, yeah, we see that. We see that. Um, I look at trauma as a blessing. Let me explain that.
Yes, please.
Every time we go through, and if you think about it, right? If you think about Ryan, how, have you've been through trauma, obviously. You've had challenges, right? Every time after going through one of those challenges or that trauma or that pain or that suffering, do you or do you not become a better person?
Hopefully, better person.
Do you or do you not reach a higher level, a higher version of yourself? No matter what, no matter what, you go through the pain, you go through the suffering, but after all of it, after it's alchemized,
Mm.
like I said, everybody can do it. What happens?
Mindset has a real big role because someone can have a total mindset that is, like I mentioned earlier, oh, all this suffering, what the hell, this is it. But here you're bringing a different sort of mindset where it's like, okay, tough times. Okay, that's not going to be the end of the story. I can transform this and learn and grow and even find purpose. And you found purpose through the work that you do. And we see in your life always want from, like I mentioned earlier, from childhood, just wanting to take care of the ants, the animals, and how it's transformed. But even then, you see already like the kind of heart that you had wanting to reach out to others, and you're doing that today. So if there are people who are listening and want to find out more about the work that you do and maybe want to get in touch, what can they do? Where can they go?
Well, so right now my website is under construction.
Okay.
So my business is called My Metamorphosis. However, I'll also will be revamping that very shortly. But the way to get in touch with me is at this point in time is probably through my email, which is cg2020 therapy at gmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn as Colleen Gigante. And also, I have an Instagram, and it's at happiness 20195.
Okay, excellent. So I'll be leaving your links in the show notes. So if anyone
Okay,
wants to
thank you.
get in touch and find out more about the work that you do, and you've been really busy with reaching out and helping people throughout your entire life, even when you're at close to death, four or how many times that you were in that you experienced that. Still, here you are continuing, persevering, showing resilience, and also showing heaps of authenticity. Um, I think it's something that the world can really learn from. So thank you for sharing that beautiful light that you have.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And I just want to say, guys, if you don't mind if I say something to everyone for a minute, um, I would just like to say that, everything changes. Just because you may be suffering or going through a bad time this 1 minute doesn't mean the next minute's going to be like that. Our brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary. So you can create whatever you want. You just have to believe in yourself to do it.
Thank you. And do you see yourself writing a memoir eventually? I mean, you're already doing so much.
Yes, actually. I've been asked a couple times about that. People are like, your life is like a lifetime movie or like four lifetime movies. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're right. Um, but again, I believe I've gone through, I honestly believe that this is the purpose for me. I believe I've gone through all of this so that I could help feel other people's pain, so that I could actually get and be real with people, so that I could help them transform who they are into their higher version of themselves. I believe God put me through everything I've been through so that I would actually understand what it feels like when I'm helping other people.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing all about the work that you do and the beauty that you find in life. And now, for to wrap this up, I'm going to ask you the same
Sure.
question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, Colleen, what is your truth that heals?
Kindness, a smile, waving at somebody, telling the girl at Starbucks she's got pretty eyes. I don't know. Because, you never know what someone else is going through, and the struggle is real. The struggle is real. So if you can put a smile on someone else's face just by being kind, why not? Why not? It doesn't cost anything to be kind. There is a biological function that happens to us when we are actually kind to other people, when we give, when we service other people. Okay. And it is a self-satisfying, like gratifying feeling inside of us. So us pouring out love to somebody else actually just brings that love back to us. And again, alchemizing. It's all about alchemizing. Alchemizing darkness into light, alchemizing pain into power, alchemizing trauma into transformation. And all it takes is somebody caring enough to listen and a smile. One of the things I tell all my clients in the very beginning is, look, there's no judgment and no blame. I will never judge you. I will never blame you. Um, because I don't believe that's helping anyone. I don't believe that's helping anyone. I specialize, one of my specialties is in addiction. And, I constantly hear people like, oh, I relapsed, or, oh, I did this, or I did that. And I'm just like, okay. And they're like, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I let everyone down. I can't believe I did this to myself. I did that to myself. And I'm like, do better. That's it. Stop putting all the shame and guilt on you. Understand that this is happening because it is a controlling factor. It is a disease. It is, a childhood coping mechanism, probably that you just had and stayed with all your life, and now all of a sudden you're an alcoholic, or you're porn addiction, another one, big time, big time is another one. Stop feeling that shame and guilt. Just do better. That's it. Because why why when we're feeling shame and guilt, when we're feeling judgment and blame, whether we put it on ourselves or someone else puts it on us, we're not in a high frequency, we're not in a high vibration, we're not going to manifest anything good. And we're always manifesting. So being in that low state, that low frequency, we're manifesting bad things. So instead, stop. Stop. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind with yourself. That's it. The more kind and gentle you are with yourself, and stop listening to the noise and the chaos and everything else around us, the more internally you're going to love yourself, and that love is going to shine through to other people to love themselves.
Thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your truth that heals, for sharing your light, and for also bringing alchemy into this podcast, something that we've never spoken about or really gotten into. So, thank you for bringing awareness on all this and about the
You're
work
welcome.
that you do. So, hopefully, for those who are watching or listening, please go ahead and subscribe, like this episode, comment, and please share so that other people can discover the truth that heals presented today by our guest, Colleen Gigani. And Colleen, thank you so much for being a guest on my little podcast, The Truth That Heals.
It's my honor and my pleasure. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing. And Ryan, what made you, if you don't mind me asking, what made you actually start a podcast?
Trauma.
You
And
reached a higher version of yourself, didn't you?
Well, I was tired of people kind of like dismissing, and it felt like I wanted to just connect and say, these are some things that I experienced, but there were just people around me who were, I think the mentality was, oh, just suck it up, or oh no, that's, uh,
Exactly.
or oh, other people have it worse, and it may be true, but it's what I've experienced. And so I said to myself, the hell with it. I'm going to do my own podcast. If someone don't want to listen, good for them. I don't care. I'm doing this for me. And then it evolved into a platform where I can invite other people, but I didn't expect. I think sometimes when you go and don't know where it's you don't know where it's gonna land, but
Yep.
it's like for some people maybe God or the universe or angels or whatever it is for you. For me, I just felt that this was something that I had to do. I had to get it out there. I had to let this flower or whatever bloom, but
Yep.
it's not going to bloom if I just keep it within. And then if I just keep it within, I felt that I would have resentment or maybe illnesses. And so I just had to let it out. And it came out. And like I said, I didn't know where it was going to go. But here I am talking to an alchemist. I mean, so surely it's going somewhere. But it also had to take a leap of faith, trust, a lot of hope, but
Yep.
also a lot of love. And so that's how I kind of got into doing this was I didn't want the trauma to win, but kind of reflecting on what you're saying, just turning it around, not letting trauma to win, but saying, all right, I've been through this. It's not over. I'm still alive. I still have life in me. Now let's find some purpose. And that's what I've been doing. And so all that you've said, I think maybe not exactly what I live by. That's okay. But I think there's a lot of things that you mentioned that resonated with me and that I can surely learn more from this episode. I'm sure going to listen again and learn some new things every time I listen and take some notes. But hopefully also those in the audience will say, yeah, maybe this isn't what I'm used to hearing,
Right.
finding purpose, but maybe I can learn something from the wisdom and, dare I say, the philosophy of Colleen Gigante.
Thank you. And I'm grateful, grateful, so grateful. And so many other people are grateful for you.
Well, thank you so much. And do you also have a YouTube channel or anything like that?
Not right this minute.
Not by this minute. So, anyways,
This is
so
all very new to me. This is my third podcast, and I'm going to be doing a couple more. I want to start my own podcast. Like that's my dream. I want to speak. I would love to do a TED Talk. I would love to be out there and presenting so that I could reach, so many more people. Like I said, this is my purpose. This is what I was created for. Just like you knew when everybody was telling you, oh, just get over it, just don't worry about it, like it could be worse, you knew you had a purpose. You knew you could feel that fire inside of you, and I consider you part of my soul family. You're part of my soul family. We connect, and that's the most beautiful thing about being on social media is I get to connect with so many people, and I'm finding my soul family and they're finding me. I'm literally like a lighthouse for people who are going through this stuff. Like they're going through it. They might be going through what I would consider like dark night of the soul, or going through some of the worst times of their life. And people are reaching out to me. People I've never known in my life. I mean, I get messages every single day. All of a sudden I started this back in January and I had like 500 followers, and all of a sudden just from telling my story, and putting stories out there about love and forgiveness, and being the light in someone else's world, I'm over 6,000 followers now, and I'm just like, I don't even know how this happened. I don't even know how this happened, but I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And another thing is just, again, gratefulness, gratitude, being grateful and having gratitude for where you are at this moment. It may not be the perfect moment, it may not be the best thing, but being grateful and having gratitude for it tells God, the universe, the world around us that, you know, we appreciate everything. And I mean, think of it this way. You ever had that family member who you buy stuff for, and every time you buy something for them, they're like, "Oh God, I wish it was this color." Or, "Oh, no,
Mm,
that's not my style." Or, "Oh, do you have the receipt? I want to take this back." Like I've even been told that before. Um, you know, you end up not wanting to buy anything for that person anymore.
yeah.
So it's like God is giving you all of this. The universe is giving you all of this. Your higher source is giving you all of this to appreciate. But if you're not going to accept that with gratitude, it's like buying for that family member. I don't want to buy anything for you anymore.
Hmm.
I don't want to give you anything. That's exactly what happens.
That's how life is.
Yeah.
Got to be grateful. So I'm very grateful for having you on the podcast. And you mentioned you wanted to do like maybe a TED Talk or do some other things.
Oh,
So
yeah. I would love to.
those in the audience, if you have connections, like I'm saying, share this out. Maybe it'll reach somebody who can, hook it up and do some magic in the background. So anyways, that's it for today, for today's
Thank you.
episode. And for those listening, please subscribe. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, please leave a review. That always helps. Hopefully, a good review. So it helps bring this podcast into other people's algorithm. So, anyways, thank you so much. And Colleen, thank you for being a guest.
Thank you again. I appreciate you.